Sometimes you don't want, that's between you and God. So I just want you to hear that. Let's pray this encouragement and prayers, and this is the Psalms of David. Now David, David had a way of praying that just still amazes me. I'm not gonna, go into a whole lot about how David was, but perhaps it was not pinned upon any particular occasion, but is very expressive of and pious, devout affections with which gracious souls are carried out towards God at all times, especially in times of trouble. Here it is, the courage and holy bravery of his faith. And David, the complacency he took in communion with God, the benefits he experienced by it, and his desire towards God and his favor and grace, his expectations from God, and the encouragement he gives to others to hope in him, and let our hearts be thus affected in singing these psalms. And so I'm going to read 1 through 6 because that's the only part I'm going to go through. And here it is, how it starts. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat of my flesh, they stumbled and fell. And though a host should encamp against me, my heart should not fear. And though war should rise up against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, and that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. Up upon a rock. And now shall my head be lifted up above mine enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Lord. Now I may observe here with what a lively faith David triumphs in God, his glories in his holy temple, and in the interest he had in him. The Lord is my light, David called in light of Israel. In 2 Samuel 21:17, he was indeed a burning and shining light to them. But he owns that he shows and the moon does with a borrowed light. What light David darted upon him and reflected upon them. The Lord is my light. God is a light to his people to show them the way, and when they are in doubt, to comfort and rejoice their hearts. And when they are in sorrow, it is his light that they now walk on their way. In his light, they hope to see light forever. And I want to speak to that. As many times as I walked in grief and sorrow, and the pain that you suffer in the midst of grief, and the hurt and the deep pain that it goes down in your heart. How David talks about how God comforts and the rejoice that deep down in your heart that you do have as you sorrow. And how sometimes you're standing near your loved one's coffin and you're comforting other people when that's your loved one that's in the coffin, and you're comforting the other people as they walk by, and you're the one that's comforting them. You're the one that's held up. You're the one that's going and doing all those things, and and everybody's wondering how you're held up. It's God. And sometimes I remember it happening 3 or 4 times, maybe. I know for sure there had to be 4 or 5 funerals in a year. And I could not even think. All I had to do is do and depend on God, or I would fall apart like glass, shattered to the ground. But it was something about God holding you like a baby, like just holding you. And it was nothing but like the comfort of love and how he held you so you wouldn't crash to the ground or so you wouldn't fall apart. And it was something about how he held you in the midst of sorrow. And it is that light that now that you walk in the way of the life of hope. And he is my salvation, in whom I am safe, and by whom I shall be saved. He is the strength of my life. Many times when you feel like strength is gone, God is the strength of your life. Not only the protector of my exposed life, who keeps me from being slain, but the strength of my frail, weak life. Ooh, Jesus. Who keeps me from fainting, sinking, and dying away. God, who is a believer's light, is the strength of his life, not only by whom, but in whom he lives and moves and has your being, and how you can keep moving. And sometimes you don't know how you get up in the morning, but God is the strength of your life. Sometimes you don't know how you'll make it, but God is the strength of your life. Sometimes you don't even see your way, and he provides light in darkness. Sometimes you're moving and the day has gone and you climb in bed and you say, God, he says, but I'm the strength of your life. And when he talks about your weak and frail body, and you're moving and people are saying, do I need to feed you? Do I need to do this for you? Do I need to do that for you? And all you can say is, God is the strength of my life. And that's how God is therefore strengthens our life. With what a courage he triumphs over his enemies. And he says, no fortitude like that of faith. You have to have faith. Even if you have mustard seed faith. My daughter would say to me many times when I felt like I couldn't make it, and I was like, I can't do this. She said, Mama, use your mustard seed faith. Mustard seed faith, Mama. That's all you need. And I'm crying, and I'm just unable to stop. You know how this crying that you just can't stop? And she would just, mustard seed, Mama, mustard seed. You could do this. And you just know that you could. If God be for you, who can be against you? Who can be against you if God be for you? God. If the whole world is against you, who can be for? Who can be against you? Just listen to that. If God be for you, who can be against you? And whom shall I fear? Whom shall I be afraid? Omnipotence be his guard. He has no cause to fear. If he knows it to be so, he has no disposition to fear. That is to all of us who are Christ's child, who is God's child, who is valued by God. Who shall we fear? A lot of times we have to repeat that to ourselves. This prayer right here. In whom shall I be afraid? In whom shall I fear? If he knows it to be so, he has no disposition to fear. If God be his light, he fears no shades. If God be his salvation, he fears no colors. Jesus. He triumphs over his enemies that were already routed, that were on the way to kill him. He has no fear. You have no fear. The believer has no fear. His enemies came upon him to eat up his flesh, aiming at no less assured that they fail. Not he smote at them and they fell, but they stumbled and fell. They were so confounded and weakened that they could not go on with their enterprise. They could not do anything. Those that came to take Christ with the words speaking made to stagger and fall to the ground. John 18:6. Let's go there. John 18:6. John 18:6. As soon then as he had said unto them, I am he, they went backward and fell to the ground. As soon, listen to this, as soon then as he had said unto them, I am he, they went backward and fell to the ground. The ruin of some of the enemies of God's people is an earnest of the complete conquest of them all. And therefore these having fallen, he is fearless of the rest. And though they be numerous, a host of them, though they be daring and their attempts threatening, and though they encamped against me, an army against one man, and though they wage war upon me, yet my heart shall not fear. If they wage a war against you, which they may, your heart shall not fear. They may encamp, they may wage war. Let's go back to Psalms 27. Let's go back to that. Though a host encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. What are we being confident in? Encamped against me, an army against one man, and though they wage war upon me, yet my heart shall not fear. A host cannot hurt us if the Lord of hosts, let's get this. If a host cannot, listen, a host cannot hurt us if the Lord of hosts protects us. The Lord of hosts, that right there, that's Revelation. If a host cannot, listen, a host cannot hurt us if the Lord of hosts protects us. Nay, in this assurance that God is for me, I will be confident. Two things he will be confident of: that he shall be saved. If God is my salvation, in time of trouble, he shall hide me, and he shall set me out of danger and above the fear of it. And God will not only find out a shelter for his people in distress, as he did in Jeremiah 36:26. but he will himself be their hiding place